Hey guys, Horror Man here. So I'm finally here with my buddy Jason to give you my part two of my Friday the 13th collection. Now this is something I probably should have done already, but I told you guys if I get enough views on it, I'm gonna give you the part two of this review. So the first one I did kind of just talked about my collection of like figures, masks, different things like that. So this one we're going to go over kind of like what I've accumulated since in terms of figures and stuff like that. But that's not going to be the big portion of it. Mostly it's going to talk about my comic book collection for Friday the 13th, my artwork that I have in the collection, not stuff that I've done, just stuff that I bought from Comic Cons and horror conventions, stuff like that. Some of the autographs I have, and just some miscellaneous stuff in my collection. Hopefully if this does enough, then I'll do a part three and probably a final part of this. And I'll show you my VHS collection, just movies and stuff like that. So moving on, I just want to go ahead and start basically where we left off on the last one and just show you what I've accumulated in terms of figures and stuff like that. So let's check it out. So just kind of starting where I left off with my last collection review, these are some of the different collectibles and accessories and display pieces that I've picked up since the last collection review. So just starting with the NECA stuff, unfortunately because of that lawsuit, we really haven't got too much NECA stuff. So the first thing I got, and this was not long after I did that review, is the Toony Terrors Jason, which looks really like the part 3 Jason, definitely. So he's pretty cool. I really love the style. He's got that like Saturday morning cartoon look. He just has a few points of articulation, nothing crazy, like his head can move. I actually did a review of this figure a while back, but he's a really cool piece. They did have an NES version teased as well, but unfortunately, due to the licensing and all that crap going on, they did not get to release that. But still a really cool figure. And then we also have this amazing New Blood Jason, which I just did a review of. And to be honest, to me, this is one of the best Jason figures ever made, if not the best. I mean, it's that good, at least at this scale, in my opinion. It's definitely the best Jason figure. And then he even has a removable mask, just like most of the other NECA figures do. And he's got this amazing head sculpt. So just really great work by NECA Toys on this one. Just fantastic figure. I also had this really cool NECA Jason in my review last time. It's the NES Jason, and unfortunately the battery didn't work, but since then I changed the battery. So I finally have this thing working again. It just sounds so cool, man. Without that music, it's just not as cool. So I'm really happy to have this working. And whenever you close the lid, the music stops. So really cool piece. This is the second version of the NES Jason, like this 7-inch scale one. The first one didn't have that music. Now I also have this really cool piece from the accessory set, which I don't think I showed last time. It's the Camp Crystal Lake sign. So a really cool piece. It's not the best quality, honestly, and even mine has suffered some breakages, but some glue has put it back together. But it is a really cool piece. I really like to display it, and it looks awesome with this newer piece I just got from Diabolical Designs. It's basically like a little Friday the 13th, like a stand. It's just like a little plaque at the bottom, and then you can display 5 different head sculpts, and then also a machete, which looks really cool. And they just kind of fit over top of these like little silicone tips on these like clear stands, and you can switch it up, do whatever you want. But it works really good with the NECA stuff, and the machete just kind of fits right into this tiny little like piece cut out right here. So really cool piece, and I'll put a link for them in the description for the video. And then I also got this from Luke Welsh. It's this little like Keshi Jason Goes to Hell. So he's really cool. Stands fairly, he's pretty small, but he's a really cool piece. And I'll put a link to his store as well. These are sold out. It was just a limited thing for Friday the 13th. One of my favorite things now is these custom freak hockey masks. So I got one for my Movie Maniacs Jason Goes to Hell, which looks really cool. His original face is pretty bad on this thing, but the mask is removable with a little bit of force. And then now I have a very cool mask for it. Like the original masks just look pretty lame compared to this one, so I really like it. And it's got real leather straps on there as well. I also have a Part 6 mask, which is really cool, and also by Custom Freak. And he puts this little piece of black, like venting on the back of the mask, so the eyes are all blacked out. So really cool piece, and again, it's got those like leather straps on there. The original NECA one wasn't the best. It's a little skinny or like narrow. It's definitely an older NECA piece now. And then finally the Part 3 mask. Also got that. I really like the look of that as well. Not all of these have leather straps, they just have like fabric, but you could choose which ones you want. But I really like the look of these new like hockey masks. They're all made from scratch. So really good, and I'll definitely put his link in the description as well. And I've actually reviewed the Custom Freak stuff before. So yeah, here's a nice look at some of my current Friday the 13th collectibles. One thing I've been really excited to show you guys is my comic book collection, because I've got a fair amount of Friday the 13th comics. There isn't like a crazy amount of Friday the 13th comics in existence, but I think I have nearly all of them, or at least all the ones I would want. So we'll go ahead and look at the original comics, then we'll look at the Avatar, and then some of the other ones. So the oldest Jason comics I have is the Jason Goes to Hell, which basically came out to coincide with the movie release. And these are made by Topps, which is a really good company. But I don't know a lot of different Topps comics. Usually it's the card. But these are really cool. You get, it's a 3-part series, so I have all the different covers here. And I really like the artwork. It's definitely very nostalgic. Now, what's also really cool about these comics is that you get 3 Traitor Cards with each comic. So you just flip the comic over and you can see the Traitor Cards are sealed in the bag along with the comic. So really cool. It's a shame that since I left these sealed, I never really got to see all the cards in here. You can kind of shake it around a little bit and maybe see the cards better. But you can see this one has some of the end scenes, which is cool. You can even see, it looks like he's got Freddy grabbing the mask on that card. So really cool pieces. Jason Goes to Hell is definitely not a fan favorite, but I definitely have a lot of nostalgic attachment to this movie, just because this is the one I really remember seeing first. It was like 93, I believe it came out. And I think I bought the tape when I was like a teenager. So the other ones are just so old, even though I love those more. This one's just the one I really remember as a kid. So I definitely like this series of comics. And just one more Topps comics that I have in my collection. It's this Satan 6 comic, and it's basically just guest starring Jason. It is a terrible comic. I mean, he's only in a couple pages, so it's totally just a book just to get people to buy this crappy Satan 6 comic. But yeah, it's a terrible comic, but he is in it for like a couple pages, and you get that cool chrome mask on it, so of course I had to have it. So fast forward years later till about, I guess, the mid-2000s or so, and you have these really cool comics made by Avatar. And they did a few different series. They did the regular Friday 13th, and they did Bloodbath, and a little bit more stuff as well. But man, the original books they did were just so good. So they did basically like a chrome version of the covers, so you get this chrome mask. But just the different covers were so cool. So this was called a blood chrome. So you had like the reflective red mask. And again, there's just really cool different covers. And you actually have an authenticity rate on the back, and it kind of tells you how many copies were made. But just really, really cool comic series. And they really had some great covers, but this one in particular was my absolute favorite. This was from the Bloodbath series, and basically if you turn the page, you could see his hockey mask is cut, and you have the unmasked Jason on the first page. So just so cool. And this was basically called a die cut cover. It's one of the more valuable ones too, but man, it's just such a badass cover. And again, they did have a variety of covers for each different book, so you can see, I mean, some of them got pretty brutal, and there was some wraparound covers as well. And of course, you know, you could get Freddy and Leatherface if you like them. This was like a Freddy vs. Jason style cover. Yeah, man, just really cool different covers. You can see that's the wraparound cover. Really brutal ones too. I mean, this one, he's like splitting this person in half. So yeah, awesome stuff. If you haven't really collected Friday the 13th comics before, I highly recommend Avatar. And then finally, Avatar also did a comic called Fear Book, which I don't have much of those. I think I only have this one cover, but I did think this was like super cool, so I had to have it. That is a really cool cover. Now, also, after Avatar, Wildstorm started doing their own Friday the 13th comics, which were kind of interesting. They weren't as good as Avatar, but they definitely made some really cool covers anyway, even though most of the time the covers didn't really reflect the actual story. But yeah, man, they did some really cool stuff. This one's got like the Kane Hodder, like part 8 cover. So yeah, like still great artwork. And then the last series, I think this was the last series anyway, was the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash. So there is a bunch of different ones for this as well. I don't think I have the whole series. I think I might be missing number 6, or at least I just couldn't find it. So really cool. I do like the artwork on this. Very kind of 90s style. Kind of reminds me of like the Topps cover art, especially this one right here. And then finally, I do have the Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash trades as well. So yeah, that's pretty much my whole comic collection for Friday the 13th. So I used to have the Friday the 13th novels, but unfortunately I do not have those anymore. But I do have a couple really cool Friday the 13th books. Now, one thing I want to show you is, if you're not aware, if you don't have this Blu-ray tin that they made, there's actually a mini version of the Crystal Lakes Memories books that comes only with this tin. As far as I know, it's only in here. But the real book was released at least around 15 years ago, and it's a huge book. I mean, it's a hardcover book, but it's a really neat piece. It's not in perfect shape. I've had it for a little while, but it's got some issues with it, but it was a really cool book. It was definitely a fairly expensive book from what I remember, but it's basically just chronicles the whole series of the movies, and just has really cool pictures and interviews, everything. So if you're a huge fan and you like to read these books and kind of fascinated with like the behind the scenes stuff, and maybe just some things you may not have seen before, just looking for some info maybe about the series, this is a really good book to get it from. But yeah, unfortunately the binding kind of split a bit over the years, and the jacket does have a bit of a scratch on it, but it is a really cool book. And I mean, like I said, I've had it for quite some years, but yeah, it's amazing that they actually made this smaller version. Now, of course, it doesn't have all the same information, but it is the same exact style book. So I do have some Friday the 13th artwork that I'll show you. I'm not going to show you everything, but I will show you some pieces I have handy here. First thing, I do want to show you this cool pin that I just got the other day. It's pretty damn cool. um, I do like this. I'm a sucker for pins. I don't have a ton of Friday the 13th pins, but I do have some other ones. I always love this Part 3 poster. I really wish this would have been like the US poster, but I do have that classic like smashing through the window Part 3 poster. Now of course I have met Kane Hodder over the years, which was really cool. Here's a picture of me with him. Of course he signed it. He used to sign these for free if you had a picture with him and you, so I thought that was really cool. I have this really creepy picture of him with the bush axe. But I definitely met him at least 5 times, I think. This was a Fright Rags card back for G.I. Jason, really cool. They actually put this like fake price tag on it, which I love. It says Kmart, and then they even put some like coming soon or like some just pictures of other characters on here, and you can see it's like the NECA figures and the Mezco figures. And then another really cool Kane autograph. Again, New Blood Jason. And then fast forward a little bit here. I do have some other Jasons here. So I met Ted White, which was the Part 4 Jason. And I have his autograph. And of course, here he is in Part 4. And then I also met Richard Brooker at one point. I showed you guys the figure that I have of him, but I also have this really cool signed picture. And then there's another G.I. Jason card in here. Has, again, more of like the NECA figures, Mezco, stuff like that. But you can see I have both of the G.I. Jason card backs. And I think that might be it for, oh no, there's a couple more autographs. This is actually the first time I met Kane. And of course I got this signed the second time. I love this one. This is the Jason Goes to Hell autograph. So really, really cool. So yeah, fast forward a while. And then the final thing I have in here is just this sketchbook I got from Kevin Meinart. Pretty cool. And then this is a really cool piece that I have. This is the Horror Hound magazine. And I've got it autographed by Ted White, Sean Cunningham, and Kane Hodder. And I also got this little animated plush Jason that was at, I think it was Walgreens exclusive or something. And I have a lot of like other miscellaneous stuff, like this awesome t-shirt made by Cavity Colors. But I think if I did like a part 3 of this Friday the 13th collection, I would probably do stuff like just like my t-shirts and just some of the other random stuff that I have. And then the final piece to show you is just a couple pieces of wall art. This one isn't quite wall art because it actually goes all the way to the floor. But this is basically like kind of like a standee, but it was in like a VHS rental store type deal. But it's about 5 foot tall, so really, really cool piece. And here's a Chris Uminga piece that I've had for a little while. Really cool piece, man. He's got at least a couple different versions of Jason, but I really like this one. This one's pretty silly. It's just kind of looks like an old activity sheet from like one of those, you know, just old books from when you're a kid. But clearly this girl has no chance against Jason. And the final piece of my collection review to show you is this Part 3D Jason picture. So really cool piece. I've actually had this in my collection for quite some time. It's fairly big, but I had it framed a while back, and it's got like this non-reflective glass. And if you hold these really cool Friday the 13th 3D glasses up to it, you can actually see it in 3D. So really cool. This was always one of my favorite Friday the 13th movies, so I just had to get this picture. All right, so that's it for my Friday the 13th collection video, part 2. Um, so yeah, I mean, if I get enough views on this, I'll definitely do at least one more part of this and just kind of talk about VHS, media, and just different stuff, kind of miscellaneous stuff again. I do have a big collection, so it's kind of hard to put into just one video, and I just didn't know how many people would really watch these collection reviews or collection videos. So I appreciate any of the likes and the views and the comments and everything from you guys that watch these. So I really appreciate it. So yeah, maybe I'll do one more, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. And until next time, guys, see ya.